Here, I'm April Sawtelle and welcome to my channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is just showing you how to fussy cut. I'm going to just be making 4.5-inch squares and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I have a few fabrics going into a quilt I'm making and I need to fussy cut the pieces out. So I thought this would be a good time to show you how. I've got a variety of rulers here that I'm going to be using. I need something that had a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to use this one mostly. So you'll just need your rulers. I really like this Creative Grids one because it has the 1/2 inches and it has the inches. And it's big enough for a lot of projects. And this is by Creative Grids. I'll use my quilter slide lock as well just to hold the fabric in place for me because I will be cutting on the length of the fabric. And I've got my Omni Grid Omni Edge. I'll just be using that because it's a 5-inch ruler and I just really like the size of it. I've got a marking tool. This is just a friction pen and I've got my rotary cutter. Okay, let's get started. I've got this Elsa fabric here and what I want to do is I need 4.5-inch squares. I'm going to take my big Creative Grid ruler here. This is my 11.5-inch ruler. I certainly won't need that. But in order to find my 4.5, and I want you to be able to see this clearly, I want to use this ruler for just a few minutes just to show you for this demonstration. I'm just going to open this fabric up because I want to waste as little as possible. So this is an Omni Grid ruler and it has the 1/2-inch marks. It's just a little harder to read. I like this one. I need to get one of these kind of rulers that have the 1/2 inch, but I need it to be like a 6 or 8-inch ruler. Even a 5-inch ruler would be good. So I'm just going to bring this over and I'm going to look again at my 4.5-inch marks. Okay, so these two will definitely fit in it. So that means this whole row will fit in it. So what I'm going to do, this particular piece, I'm going to cut right along the selvage. I'm not going to be cutting it the width of the fabric. I'm going to be cutting it the length of the fabric. These are very small squares and I'm not going to be doing this very often where I need to cut the length of the fabric. So I'm going to just go ahead and do this way so I get 2 faces out of each block. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the selvage off. I have a quilter side lock and I like to use this. So Be It Quilts with Phalange and Matt, they sell these side lock rulers and they are the best. I'll leave the link below. They grip your fabric so your fabric will not move. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up my 4.5-inch mark here. And I know exactly, this ruler is a 5-inch ruler, so I know just to go to my 4.5 inches over here, whatever ruler you're working with. And normally I'm cutting the width of the fabric, so it actually works pretty good. But right now I can't because I need to get these faces out of here. So I've got my 4.5-inch mark, and I've got my side lock pushed right up to it. So my 4.5 inches is fine. I'm going to take my rotary cutter, and I'm just going to cut along this edge. Now, my side lock wasn't big enough to cut this, so I'm going to just continue this over. There. And then I can just continue that cut. I'm going to show you with this ruler because it has the 1/2-inch marks. It makes it a little easier to see. Okay. So my 4.5 inches keeps me, so I have 1/4 inch on this side and 1/4 inch on this side when I sew these on. So this actual block is going to put 2 faces in it. Perfect. I'm going to just spin that around. I'm going to take my ruler now and I'm going to put my 4.5-inch mark up to it. So here's my 4.5-inch mark on my ruler. You can see I've got a nice amount here and a nice amount there. And I'm just going to cut that. All right. There's one fussy cut block. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring and I'm going to look where my 4.5 inches are. And it should be about the same as this. So I actually could just go ahead and line this piece of fabric up. When I line that up, I can see my 4.5 inch and my 4.5 inches over here. That way I keep my seam allowance, and these will be the same. Not that they need to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right there. And then I can spin this around and I can cut this at the 4.5 inches. I already know that I'm going to be right where I need to be. All right. Now I've got 2 of them. And I'm going to do the same here. And I'm going to line this up. All right, that looks good right there. I want to just make sure I have that on each side. All right, and I'll just give that a trim. Spin this. And the same thing. There. Now, I'm just going to look at it and see which angle is going to give me the best bang for my buck. So my S's are all cut off here too. All right. And if I go ahead and get a few more of the faces on here. So what I need to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut the length of the fabric again. And I can see in my 4.5 inches, if I come down, I'm not going to be able to get both. I can't get it from this angle, but I can see that my 4.5 inches from this side allows me to get these 2 and this one. And then I'll slide this down. She's going to be a little bit cut off here. If you can see her face, she'll be a little bit cut off, but I think I'm going to be safe to go ahead and give it a cut at 4.5 inches. I'm not going to be able to get this one here. I'll be able to get quite a few of them though. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to trim this down to 4.5 inches right now. So I'm going to line my ruler up to my 4.5 inches right here. I'm just going to stick my side lock right here. And now I know that I'm going to get this one, this one, this one, this one. That one's going to be cut off. So let me just go ahead and start cutting here. For this demonstration, I just had to slide my fabric a little bit. I'm over the edge. I'm still on my mat. I'm following the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm just still going to butt this right up. Because I already butted it up over here, and that has where I've already cut. Now I'm just going to take, and I'm just going to hold my slide lock down and trim that off. Now I'm just going to look at my blocks here and see where I want to go with my 4.5 inches. I only need her face in this 4.5 inches, but I need to be able to have 1/4 inch to sew. I don't care about the dress. I just want the face. I have 1/4 inch at the top, and when I come over here, I have plenty of space. So I'll just line this up, and that's going to work. Okay, so I'll just trim that off here. And I'm going to turn my fabric around. All right. Now I can just start continuing to cut my 4.5 inch squares, knowing that I have 1/4 inch to sew. And I'll just trim that down. All right. Now I'm going to move on to the next girl. Okay. Same thing. I'm going to put my 4.5 inch mark, see where that takes me. Now, sometimes you can maneuver this around, like if you wanted her boots in. Obviously, it won't fit in this one, but if you want more of her dress, or you want more just like of the purple, or you want it centered. I'm going to leave it just like it was, and I'm just going to continue cutting from that point. So, to the edge, over. Perfect. I'm going to turn these so you can see them. Okay? I'm not going to worry about the words. The sisters are forever words. I'm not going to worry about that boot in there. Really, the focal point's going to be the face. This is all going right into an I Spy quilt, so there's going to be lots of fun things to look at. So, really, they're just going to be seeing the faces. And I'm just going to continue that. So, I am going to take this 4.5 right here, because when I measure it out, when I'm looking around playing on my 4.5, so I know that this comes to here. This, just say this line. I'll do the line over, and this will give me 2 more faces. So that's perfect. I'll get it this extra face. Now, it's not going to, you know, have a lot of face in it, but it's still going to add that nice little character to the quilt. Okay, I'm going to line this up. So all we're going to get out of this is just the face, but when I sew 1/4 inch, we're still going to save the face. All right, it's still going to be really pretty in the quilt overall. All right, this one. So this is where if I wanted to just have more like of her braids. Oh, I might lose her face actually. Oh, sugar. I am going to lose this face because I forgot the 1/4 inch. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut where I want this one to go. Yeah, nowhere can I get both of these. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lose this piece here. Because I want this piece and then I can put these 2 pieces into one. I'm going to mark this out a little bit. So I'm going to mark it because I want to just see what I'm going to get the best bang for my buck is. So if I did something like this, I'm just going to put a mark here. With my friction pen, that's going to let me just, it'll come right off. I just want to see what this is going to do. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of thinking here. All right, I'm just going to make a line here, and that is going to allow me those 3. So her face would be cut off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lose that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make a mark. I'm going to lose this piece. Because I know that by doing that, I'm going to add 4.5 here. I was playing around measuring this. Okay, there's 1. There she is. She's not going to get cut off. 2. And then over here, so her face is not going to get cut off in this. It's going to be close. But with that 1/4 inch seam, it's going to be close. But we'll see enough of it. Over here, you wouldn't. You'd have her really chopped up. I'm going to just lose this one on this. That's okay. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut these off here. Start with my straight line. This one will be a scrap. Now I'm just going to do my 4.5 inches. Because I've already marked it out and I know it was going to work. Sometimes you just need to do that. Yeah, see, she's going to be cut so close. She's going to be right on the seam, but we will still see her face. So this one will still work. I want to get a couple of these Sisters Forever. So in order to do that, I'm just going to start playing around. I'm going to just cut so I have plenty of space to have these 2 Elsas. I'm not using any measurements at this moment. I'm just bringing me to where I know I don't want to lose this S. So I'm just going to trim that off right there. All right, now let's see what I can do. I need to look at my ruler. I need it a little bit more. I want to keep my 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this right here. And I'm going to get rid of that Elsa right there. All right. Now I've got this to this point, so I'm going to do 4.5 inches from this end. See what that's looking like. 4.5 to 4.5. And you can see I'm in all the way. That will work out perfect. So I'm going to turn my fabric. I'm also trying not to lose the face of this one if I can help it. I'm trying to save just what I can. That's why it's called fussy cut, and you're just going to be like kind of all over the place. You might have little holes in your fabric where you've made cuts just to get the pieces out that you're looking to get. Okay, my 4.5. My words are all in there. So when I go 4.5, yep, I'm all the way in. I'm going to go ahead, give that a little cut. And then I'm going to just come back here, line this up for my 4.5 and cut there. I'm not going to do a big long cut here because I'm trying to save as much as I can. So there, now I've got the Sisters Forever. That's nice and fussy cut. All right, let's see what else I can do here. So I'm going to come after one more Sisters Forever here, and I need to leave 1/4 inch all the way around and hopefully be able to save some of these 3 here. All I'm going to do is go after those Sisters Forever, and I'll come back for these guys. I just need to make sure I have 1/4 inch for my seam line, which I do, and I want to make sure that I have, if I can try to save Elsa, I want to leave her 1/4 inch that I can sew. 4.5 inch, 4.5 inch. So this is what it will look like. Okay, I've got plenty of room there and plenty of room here. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. I'm going to cut all the way up to the top too, just because I don't need that extra piece there. That's just going to go into some scrap for color. Okay, I'm going to turn this again. And now I'm just going to look again. She's cleared on this side. Now I'm just going to, now I want to make sure that this one is cleared with 1/4 inch. And I don't have to worry about these two because this is too far off and this one, the head is already cut off. So I'm going to look for my 4.5 inch. And then I'm also looking to make sure I have 1/4 inch to sew here all the way around. See this letter? I got to make sure I'm even over because that letter wants to be in it. So just look at it really good. There's my R. That'll be clear. This will be clear. I have a little more wiggle room, I think. I'm going to try to, I can clear this, and I can clear this, and I can clear that, and I can clear this. So I think that's where I'm going to give my cut right there. Okay. Now I'm going to go back, line up my 4.5 inches, and I'm just going to square that up. And I am going to come in all the way here because I'm not going to use these legs for anything other than colored fabric in a scrap quilt. Okay, and then I'll turn this one more time. Lining myself up. And I'll cut that right there. And now I've got another Sisters Forever that is fussy cut. All of those have been fussy cut, and they're going to fit into my quilt just the way I want them to. I did not need them to be all the same, but it just worked out that way. As long as you can sew around at your 1/4 inch seam and see what you want to see in yours, that's going to work great. This one is borderline. See, again, remember I was telling you when I was cutting this one, I think I'm going to be able to save her face in here. We'll see. I'm going to keep it in my good pile, and we'll see what happens. So when you're done, you might have a piece of fabric that's got all kinds of cuts into it. But that's okay. You can use that for scraps. If you ever want to see more than just sewing, you can jump on over to my other channel, Hanging with April. It's just where I'm going to be doing decluttering, cleaning, organizing, a little bit of shopping, and some adventuring. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on fussy cutting. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Remember to keep it simple. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye. Say bye, little Miss Reddy Thready.